Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Have the Race Gone for first off for us here. Let's see if there'll be more, you never know. But welcome to the CRN, the Clean Race Network. It's the endurance series here from GT Sport, and we are here at Interlagos for the season finale, which we're bringing to you. Well, I was about to say right out of Brazil, right out of my living room in Copenhagen, Denmark. Anyways, it's a pleasure having you all along, and we are having a very, very strong grid indeed on display here. Just look at the lineup. Olegna, Turismo Cooper, Aliens confirmed. Then we have Halstærk, championship leader, I think, alongside Sparks, the bottle job. We have Jeff James, who's parked the Corvette nicely up in turn 1. CSX Matthew is along as well. We've got a very known and familiar face here with the wizard himself. So keeping Olegna company in the Aries camp he is. We have Norway represented by Interpol. We have one of the Jeff guys, a Dane. Yay! I'll be cheering for him with Speed Pro. We have Chaos for Jeff as well, Chaos Rising. Fairdinkum from CRN. The aforementioned Sparks in the AMG. And then in the pit at the moment we have Organizer GTR, the Bandit 79, and Venom Snake. Evening, Stevie. Nice to have you along. I hope you're well. I hope the recovery is going according to plan. injuries like that one is always it can be a real pain in a very certain part of the body where the sun never shines. The sun maybe should never shine, should I say, to have these kind of ligament injuries that you've been hit by. Halbstag coming into the pits. We're having practice, still practice. It's been underway for a while, and Olegna with a 1:30.2 has been fastest so far, but pretty closely followed by Cooper in the Turismo Supra. And then Halbstag just 0.3 of a second down, so he's up there as well. Oh, as Matthew goes spinning on the exit of turn 2. Very dramatically indeed. A couple of new additions to the spectator mode. One is this. So we now actually have the opportunity to go on board with the drivers. The only little catch is that I cannot do it from my keyboard. That's what it is. And the other thing, I guess slightly more awaited, so to say, is the qualifying session, the official qualifying session, as we used to know it from previous Gran Turismo titles 5 and 6. And here it is, just as I'm talking about it, the qualifying session has gotten underway. So here it is, qualifying session. We have 16 minutes of it, and just to go through the rules here of the qualifying session, that is. Anyway, fuel consumption off, but the tire wear is of course still on for this session. And then we'll be going straight into the race when qualifying ends. So those drivers will be needing a break when going into the race. They'll be having to be taking that into consideration beforehand. And from my point of view, as a broadcaster, as someone presenting this to you as viewers, it couldn't be any better. This eliminates the wait, the break, the toilet break, the much dreaded toilet break in between qualifying and race. That's also always nice to see. And indeed, round robins, let's just go through the championship standings. It is indeed Halbstad leading with 312 points. Only 7 points behind is indeed Sparks, Bottle Sparks. And then Schosse, who's not here tonight racing, but whom we know very well, most of us on the channel here. Third, then it's GTR, Doc Brown, Dr. Hash, then yourself, round robins, Smilehead, who is now known as Limitless, Aura as well in these standings. So this is a long list of drivers, and what it comes down to is the fact that the championship is all gonna come down between Halbstad and Sparks, with those 7 points in between the two. So it will be an interesting one. A very good evening to everyone joining in tonight for our first CRN broadcast. As James goes a little wide on the exit of turn 4. That's a dreaded place to do it. It happens so often. And that AstroTurf, even when dry, is, I was about to say it's as slippery as the drag strip on the Hockenheim. Perhaps it isn't that extreme, but it sure is slippery. Halbstad being first on track, so we'll be seeing the first couple of laps come through in a short moment. This series is, by the way, running a tire regulations that allow for a single compound. It differs from race to race, but it's just a single compound of tires. For this race, we'll be using the soft compound. We'll have tires times 3. We'll have fuel burn times 2. I'm of course here with my trusted pal Coffee. I'm sadly not here with my good friend Traels, which of course is by now is something pretty much reserved for the IGTL when it comes to GT Sport. When we do any type of iRacing streams, of course, little advertisement for that we have launched our very own iRacing team. More or less not that serious, I guess. We sure are enjoying ourselves. Traels, Martin of the TSR team, and myself. And I think if anyone out there playing iRacing is on iRacing is feeling like maybe wanting to connect and see if it's something for you or whatever, well, get in touch. Evening, Mart Meneer. Nice to have you along. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you're all well and good. Olegna, he's already into the 29s here, as of course, with fuel consumption off for this session, that equates an empty tank of fuel they're running on, and that of course means fast lap times right from the off here. The NSX in the Aries livery here as he comes up behind Wizard. Is that a planned move to get the slipstream down the start-finish straight here for the Dutchman? Oh, Madmenir ill. As we see the times in the box here, that's a nice feature that allows us to follow the times that are being set. CSX Matthew, I'm sorry, with a 1:34. Cooper's in the pit at the moment. Olegna still hanging out behind Wizard, who's 5th on the grid right now, but it's very close indeed, at least between Matthew and Wizard. Bambi, indeed, it is all GT3 endurance racing, and we'll be racing for an hour, so I guess it's endurance in GT Sport terms. So funny that once you get into iRacing, a sprint race is 40 minutes. That's an eye-opener, I guess. But the real enduros are also pretty long there. But anyways, it is indeed all GT3 0. Olegna is getting held up by Wizard on this occasion. I'm just wondering, 10 minutes left of qualifying. Cooper's gone second fastest, but he is still 2/10 down. So about the same distance between Cooper and Olegna as we saw in practice. Halstag third at the moment, but he's an additional 2/10 down on the time set by Cooper. Here's Speed Pro, he's picked up 1.97 1.9 seconds of penalty, and certainly not optimal. He'll do wisely to get rid of it into this corner in order not to lose the next lap as well, might suppose. And let's see further down the order right now. We have Interpol 7th, Sparks in 8th place, finding himself quite a bit of way down on Halstag, and that's gonna be an interesting one to follow. Surely gonna be important for Sparks to move up the order just that little bit. Evening to Unileska, nice to have you along, mate. And of course, as well, Bambi evening, or good afternoon, good... Is it even afternoon for you? I hardly think it is, even just morning, maybe? Hello, Bambi. It's nice to have the deer along. Limitless, the man formerly known as Smilehead. Nice livery, this Vitaphone M6. He's a 9th in front of Fair-Dinkum, who's just an all-around solid lad. He's in the AMG. A livery we know well by now. I've seen it. I've raced him on a couple of occasions as well. Evening, Nils. Nice to have you along, mate. And then behind here is the Corvette of Jeff James. Or it can't be James, because it requires you to put in 3 A's to be James. So this is just James, and James will do. And I'm sure James agrees on that. He's right on the tail of Halstag, here. Could be a good place to be, could be a bad place to be as well. Depends on your pace. In 12th at the moment with 7.5 minutes left, so a little under half a qualifying session to go. Now in 13th is Venom Snake. Chaos Rising is 14th, and GTR, strangely enough, in the GTR. Well, he goes 9th there and improves quite a bit, it has to be said. Cooper improves as well and is now very close to Alegna. Look at that. 14 thousandths of a second separating the two top runners at the moment. And then it's 4/10 of a second down to Halbstag. Hello, Axel, and yes, I am streaming on Sunday. I'm streaming the IGTL Summer Championship Series, the first round in the Ferrari 458 GTE spec kind of cars. It's gonna be interesting, and I really like the format. Even I don't know where we're racing. It's not like I'm just holding back on it. I really don't know where that race is gonna be taking part. That's quite a bit of determination, Stevie. I actually saw that video. I don't remember if it was on Twitter or what it was, but you mapped the upshifts, it must have been, to one of the buttons. We can do everything with the left hand. It looked kind of cool though. It's getting the old Jason Watt vibe. IGTL at Broadbean Raceway confirmed, Bambi. Still indeed close here. Oh, Matthews gone faster than Halbstag, but it's still very close. And it's by 0.5 of a second. No more separating the two. Here's Wizard. It's looking good for 5th at the moment. Still a little over 5 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. James is 6th in the Corvette. Then we have Speed Pro in a provisional 7th. One of the other 911s of Interpol in 8th. Then Sparks still finding themselves in 9th position, and a 0.5 second penalty would probably be wise to go for the pit stop here, to shrub off the penalty and make sure that it doesn't completely ruin a lap. Still within time to get that pit stop done. Sparks aiming for a strong lap here. Limitless with a 1:30.5, and I'm guessing that's good enough to go somewhere around 6th. Indeed it is. Just about 6th place for Limitless. Venom Snake here just getting onto a hot lap. And then there's Alegna. Still haven't been bettered by Cooper in that 999 Aries Racing Team car. And really, it has to be said, a force to be reckoned with on GT Sport by now, the Aries Racing Team. Omnipresent at both official and, I was about to say unsanctioned events, but at the league level, albeit at the top level of league racing with the IGTL. And present so many other places. Usually around the top, and here Alegna really improves and puts a big amount of distance in between himself and Turismo Cooper. It's now 0.3 of a second. And is there gonna be any type of response from Cooper? Is there gonna be anything to match basically what Alegna's done here? strong pace certainly isn't going to be this lap. Just over 2.5 minutes left, so it'll be 2 more laps. If they get to finish the lap, that is actually something I don't know. So we'll have to see. Maybe someone in chat can tell me if you get to finish the lap once the timer runs out, or if it's just like a 10-second buffer or something like that. So it might be the last chance for Cooper, but it's not confirmed. Matthew is on an out lap. Oh, they can finish their lap. Nice. I'm glad they made it that way. It's also the only way that that makes sense. Anything else would just make for a lot of frustration. So that's nice to see. And thanks, Bambi. And that, of course, makes Cooper safe for 2 more laps. Or this one he's on, and yet another one. So we'll see exactly how it goes. We'll see if your sources are reliable, Bambi. James here with a 130.5. So I think we've seen other drivers in that very close vicinity indeed. Half a tenth away from Limitless, who's in turn just 0.004 of a second off of Wizard's 5th place time there. It's really all stacking up here. Olegna not improving. Oh, Cooper not improving as well. Someone off the pace. This is going to be the last chance for Turismo Cooper. As we head into the final minute of qualifying. Screeching tires there. Apexing turn 2. And now the run down towards turn 4. Critical part of the track this. And 2/10 down on the personal best through sector 1. That's not optimal. Going wide, but not too wide on the exit of turn 4. Chaos improving to a 1:32.2 there, but that's not going to be too big of an improvement in terms of grid order. As someone else is coming up towards the line here, Halbstack with a 1:30.3, but still not good enough to get the better of Matthew in 3rd place. So 4th it is going to be for Halbstack. Cooper half a second off here. It's not going to be an improvement here. Neither is going to be for Matthew. Olegna has finished. Wizard has finished. Here comes Halbstack. Seemingly having made it onto that final lap by quite a little margin it seems, but onto it, and it is in the mild 7. I've always been actually in doubt whether it was mild or mild. I guess it kind of is mild 7. It's just it stuck as a kid. As a kid, I read it as mild 7 because as a kid, what the fuck do you expect? And the Michael Schumacher. And to my best of my German, proper German pronunciation abilities, Halbstack 7/10 down on the personal best. Chaos Rising 1:32.1 here. We've seen Speed Pro with a 1:30.8. But neither of those times were really good enough for any kind of big improvements. Let's see here, James. This might be onto something on this final lap. Oh no, it isn't. And with that, I think pretty much everyone has crossed the line for the final time. We still have someone running. The question is, who is it? Indeed. Isn't Sparks? Isn't Interpol? Isn't Wizard? Isn't Matthew? Well, interesting stuff. Perhaps we're just waiting. Anyway, it's qualifying over, and Olegna of the iRacing team grabbing pole position in front of Turismo Cooper, CSX Matthew, Halbstag, our championship leader. As mentioned before, by just 7 points down to Sparks, qualified in 10th place in the end. Fifth is Wizard of the iRacing team. Limitless of TX3 in 6th. We've got James of the JEV boys in 7th. Speed Pro as well of the JEV team in 8th. We've got Interpol 9th. We've got that Bottle Sparks of TX3 fame in 10th. GTR 11th. Fair Dinkum 12th. Chaos Rising in 13th. And that was a very, very brief look at it won't let the session finish early. That's pretty good. Then drivers can have that break of theirs. Anyway, here is the grid order. We're about to get the race running, ladies and gentlemen. Move to the edge of your seats. An hour of racing is about to go underway. It's about to go green here from Interlagos. 3, 2, 1. And they're off. Olegna gets a very good start. That's Matthews getting kind of bogged down there on the line. Cooper under attack from Halbstag up the inside there. They're 3 wide into turn 1. And there's a little bit of scrapping going on as I think Halbstag's been sent wide. And he's very much disappeared, and there's a contact there. Sending Turismo to the outside, and there's a major bit of carnage here through the opening corners. Wizard is 1-2, but look at that Sparks! Sparks having... Oh, and he's been touched in turn 4 as well. More action than I can keep up with. Sparks, who started in 10th, he's in 5th position now, so that's absolutely brilliant from him. Halbstag, well, it couldn't be any worse, really. He's found himself a long way down the order. Olegna and Wizard. Now it's a 1-2 for the iRacing boys at the moment. It's Olegna leading in the NSX. It's Wizard here in the AMG. Cooper in the Supra, down to 3rd. Matthew in 4th in the M6. Carnage indeed, Stevie. Let's have a look at the start, shall we? Here from the rear wing of Olegna's car is going to give us a pretty good look at what happened. Seeing exactly that, Matthew really getting bogged down at the start. Then 3 wide into turn 1 it was. A little bit of contact. Being a slight shove to Halbstag. Tries to take the escape road. He goes on a slide and just bangs into Cooper. Absolute carnage in turn 1. We're going to go down to the cam of Turismo Cooper here to have a little bit of a better look at what then happened through turn 4. Also, more carnage here. Absolute. And even more rubbing there and scrubbing behind. And all out in front, Olegna and Wizard are the ones, so to say, who's gained the most. Still, Bottle Sparks back up into 5th, Interpol 6th, but that's a little bit of a gap developing. And the Norwegian in 6th on a little bit of an island here. James, no, that's absolutely not true at all. As James is really hammering on the pressure here, he looks at the outside on that first right-hander of the slow middle sector here. It's traditionally very difficult to find way through this one, the slowest part of the track. I'd expect the 911 to be strong here. The Corvette is harrying its rear end though. Now down towards the start finishing line, and what is it gonna be? James with a good run. The Corvette certainly with a top speed advantage on the 911. They're side by side now. James with a little bit of an advantage going into turns 1, 2, and 3. And a very nice pass from the JV driver there. Let's have another look at how that went down. That nice run on the outside. A nice driving there in a gentlemanly fashion, making sure that there's space aplenty. Out in front, it's status quo. Olegna leading by half a second down to Wizard. Turismo Cooper keeping up very well at the moment. And actually, Matthew in the M6 in 4th place. Well, he's also right on the tail. They are kind of snaking up behind here as Sparks, who's really managed to turn it around. Halbstag, though, with a big job on his hands for the rest of this race after a promising qualifying session. A terrible lap 1 to follow. Here at the bottom of affairs, it's Limitless in 14th. It's Chaos 15th, Venom Snake in front of them. Then it's GTR, Bandit 79, and then in 12th and 10th, of course, at the moment, it is Halbstag. He's hunting down Speed Pro and Fair Dinkum. So more or less right in front. Should be within slipstreaming distance more or less soon. So we'll be trying to keep an eye out for what's going on, considering the championship fight that's going on between Halbstag and Sparks. And at the moment, it is indeed Sparks in the best position. Still a lot of racing left, 54 minutes. So Olegna doesn't look like he's pushing excessively. But at the same time, neither does it look like he's backing up into the field. Just running his laps at the moment. But we've seen it before from the Dutchman. All of a sudden, he's used 2/3 of the fuel that everybody else used while running the same pace. Stuff like that. It's happened, so might be pulling something crazy out the back here. Let's go on board with Matthew in 4th place. On the way through turns 1, 2, and 3. Gets a good run this time around on Cooper. Cooper getting slightly held up by Wizard through turn 4. But I don't think... just no space on the inside of Cooper in front. It is a very difficult track to overtake on. Interlagos here. It's really one of those places where you can defend properly. So we're now on board with Cooper. There is Sparks running safely at the moment in 5th. And then it's James in 6th place. Still Interpol 7th now. Halbstag is making moves further down the field. Here he's just made up a position. And he's just made up another one as well, I think. And that's how I move up into 8th. Oh, and that's a simple reason for that. Fairdenken went off there in the middle sector. And he's all the way down in 14th now. Let's have another look. Oh, yeah. Classic one. Braking with the tires on the grass is certainly not recommended. Olegna still looking strong. It's pulled away ever so slightly from Wizard. Wizard doing well to keep Cooper behind, but it's looking hard to say the least. Cooper really looking pushy, and for good reason, because CSX Matthew is right there to pick up whatever scraps there'll be. And no space to compromise yourself whatsoever in this situation here, as It almost happens for Wizard. He manages to keep Cooper behind. For now, that is. So Halbstag now up into 8th place. And with the Clean Air in front. 2.7 seconds to close up to Interpol and James. And the distance between Halbstag and Sparks is 7.5 seconds or so at the moment. In front of here, there still is three-way scrap for second place. With Olegna not too far out in front as well here as Wizard seems to go a little wide. But also just about keeps a hold of second place through turns 1 and 2 this time around. Cooper might have the run. Doesn't look like it though. Just in the slipstream, but no more than that. So 10 minutes in, and it's Olegna leading Wizard, both for the Eries racing team. Then it's Turismo Cooper third, in front of CSX Matthew. It's Bottle Sparks of the TX3 team in fifth. It's James in sixth, Interpol seventh, and Halbstag eighth. Interesting point here is that Bottle Sparks and Halbstag is battling out for the overall championship title. And at the moment, well, around 7 seconds between them on track. So Halbstag really with a job to do. After he started third, he could really have been up there in this scrap, and he could say he should have, but was nudged wide through turn 1. A bit of poor luck indeed for him. Sparks second in the championship, down by 7 points. And if you can just find the... Oh yeah, so it's 50 points for a win, it's 40 points for second, it's 35 for third, 32 for fourth, 30 for fifth, 28 for sixth. So, I mean... It's gonna be interesting, and we're gonna be keeping a closer look at that matchup as the race matures, so to say. Olegna is now, for the first time, looking like he's putting Wizard out of his slipstream, and that might have aided Wizard before in defending from Cooper behind. That won't be anymore. Will we see Olegna actually holding off a little bit to allow his teammate back into the slipstream? That would certainly be... Oh, slipstream has changed since last update. Slipstream has changed, so it affects for longer or what? Or like a longer distance behind? Or does anybody know? I haven't tried or driven the game under the last update here. Oh, 1.3 seconds, but I suppose that's with more downforcey cars than these. We'll have to... I know a French couple of people in the IGTL, or some Danes as well actually, in the IGTL organizing squad. We'll be sure to be testing this into... till no feature is left unknown. Anyway, Olegna back right up to it there. To consider him, it certainly looks like he's fuel saving, and I would be expecting him to be fuel saving, perhaps even. And indeed, Stevie, it seems that 1.3 seconds behind slipstream. It's going to be very, very hard to pull people or to put people out of it all of a sudden. I'd favor the attacker, so to say, a little bit. Still status quo in this scrap for first. It is at the moment 5 cars within the space of 2 seconds, more or less. James, then Interpol here, the Norwegian, carrying a 0.5 of a second penalty that's quickly going to be scrubbed off around Interlagos, and then Halbstag. He's closed the gap pretty well, although it's status quo to the front runners at the moment. He's looking to climb up the table. It has been a great race indeed, Stevie. So far, lots of good action on track and lots of intensity, great intensity to the race. Say we try out that onboard cam. Oh, that doesn't work that way. How does it even... Somehow I can't change camera angles on my controller anymore. I guess there's... It wouldn't be Gran Turismo and PD if each and every update didn't present us with a new couple of bugs. What's up, Dini? This is, I believe, using the standard BOP. Or it is. It is. It very much is. Here, Wizard, early stopper, early in, 44 minutes still remaining. The question is, how does the tires look? Is it just gonna be a tire swap and then no fuel? Wouldn't expect it to be though. Yep, it is. And a bad decision, I guess, from Wizard to keep the lap times up. It'll be interesting to see how that affects the top runners. Will Wizard be able to keep up the pace? As Cooper gets a little bit of a bad run through turn 4, that might compromise him up through the following sector here. And it seems to me like the Supra is struggling a little bit with the tires at the moment. It could be a 3-stopper. It could also be, I mean, going in for only tires really doesn't take that much time. So in the end, might not be the worst of decisions. But for now, it's helped Sparks up into 4th, and as well, it's helped Halbstag up into 7th place further down. We've got Jeff James in 5th. We've got Interpol 6th, and we've got Pro Speed in 8th. Speed Pro, of course, in 8th at the moment. Matthew here is still right around the backside of Turismo. Cooper looking for a way past. And at the same time, look at that, how Olegna is now just slowly creeping away, it seems. Evening Shutter. Nice to have you along, mate. I hope you're doing well. So perhaps if I do like this, and that'll allow us to do so, but then I can't use the... But here it is. There you see it. It exists. And it even looks kind of silly with the way the lack of detail in the input on the steering wheel. Seems like it's happening in absolute slow motion, so yeah. We're still fending off Matthew. Matthew, who's lost some time through this middle sector this time around. And same goes for Sparks, who's also been left off the back of this group for now, at least. A second off the fastest lap, he said, as we're nearing a third of the race gone by now. Oh, and the Europa League. That's just it. Nice. I take it that you're through. I take it that you're through. And indeed, Olegna has really put the hammer down. Look at this. He's going for a... Quite sure that's aiming for a one-stopper. Pitting around the half an hour mark. Wouldn't be a bad idea at all. We have Halbstag in. We have Interpol and James all around the same time. And where is Wizard? It's a good question. We're looking and looking for him. He's there. He's past. He's well past. So, but that, I guess, is to be expected. It'll be more interesting when we see those who are running around him, not some seconds behind. The difference between Wizard and Halbstag, as both have exited the pits, is now 13 seconds. So Halbstag seems to have lost some time for now. It doesn't necessarily look like Olegna's lost a whole lot of pace. But at the moment, no one is able to keep up with the Dutchman. Cooper now 3 seconds behind. Matthew still somewhat on the tail, and they pit in now. And Olegna pits in as well here. So it's going to be a two-stopper indeed for Olegna. It's going to be a two-stopper for this entire part of the field. And is it just to stretch the strategy a little bit for Wizard? Might be a stretched two-stopper. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll have to see where everybody else exits. Mind you, Wizard didn't fuel on his stop. And any one of those in front, well, who does, I think they're gonna come out behind. Let's see how it is here. Wizard, I think, is just about gonna overtake. Well, that's gonna be overtaking Speed Pro and then getting right onto the tail of Olegna into turn 4. What's up, Cliche? Nice to have you along, mate. And Shazib, amen. Amen to that. And to everyone joining here after we've gotten the racing underway, well, a very good evening and a warm welcome to you. And if you like what we do here on the channel, if you like the racing, well, hit the like button. If you haven't, and if you really like it, well, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified. Well, anyway, Speed Pro here in third. I should be cheering for my fellow Dane, and I am, of course. Although in my own official manner, not saying too much about it here. Denmark, Denmark, Denmark. But he's the last of the runners not to pit at the moment. Alright, cheers, Shazza. See ya. Keeps it running at the moment here. Speed Pro could be going for a one-stopper. Wouldn't be completely off it. Would be an interesting one to follow. Here is Cooper in 4th place. And as I mentioned before, I think these... Did they even fuel? Did they even fuel? I actually don't think, because Wizard didn't fuel and he has more fuel in the tank than Cooper. So in the end, I think it is played out perfectly for Wizard. The question is if it's going to be a 2 or a 3 stopper. Thinking that the tire wear wasn't so bad that they couldn't perhaps stretch it on the other 2 stints. But just have to see. We'll just have to see. Now here in 5th, it's Matthew. And then in 6th, right behind, it's Sparks. In 7th, it's GTR, who has yet to pit, I think. Then in Halbstag, then in Halbstag, then in 8th, of course, it's Halbstag. And Halbstag getting close to Sparks in terms of track position now. That is really going to make it interesting. And the points difference that is given between 6th and 7th place, that's only 2 points. So, Sparks is gonna need more than this. And if Halbstag were to finish 8th, well, he would need to finish in 4th or better. I think Halfstack actually goes up into 7th there. It could have just been GTR. Made a little bit of a mistake. Or just giving way and letting Halfstack pass. The gentlemanly thing to do. Of course, whenever there is a speed difference, it's not always the smartest thing to do to hold up anyone, neither for your own sake, because it slows up yourself as well. Olegna still leading Wizard. Looking very orderly, the two Aries cars. There's no, you don't get any hash vibrations here. Cooper 3 seconds down. So also Olegna doing well to keep the lead alive over that first pit stop round for the two stoppers. Now, if we're seeing Wizard on a 3-stop strategy, it'll be time to come in around 5 minutes. And if it's a stretch, well, it'll be longer. We'll have to see. Speed Pro in 4th now. Kind of losing out on a little bit of the pace, but only 5 more minutes left to run to make the one-stop strategy work. We'll have to see where they end up. It could be good things for the Dane. Sparks in 6th and Halfstack in 7th. 5 seconds separating the two at the moment, so Halfstack has really made up some time. And I think there's a little bit of a battle going on in front here as Sputtle Sparks gains a position on Speed Pro. Let's have another look at that. Oh, how was that even possible? Oh! So I select if the onboard cam is actually the normal onboard or... That's pretty cool, actually. That is pretty cool. I like that. I like being able to go on board. I think it's kind of neat. Anyway, here is Cooper with a 1 second penalty. Nothing that can't be scrubbed off over a couple of laps, I'm sure. Mind you, Interlagos is not a bad place to get your penalties scrubbed off. Seems to happen all by itself over a couple of the bigger braking zones at the track here. Matthew comfortably in 4th with a 1.5 second penalty. A 1.5 second advantage. Down to Sparks. The aforementioned Speed Pro in 6th, then Halfstack 7th. Interpol here in 8th. It's James in 9th place at the moment, battling with GTR. And GTR, it seems, going for the one-stop as well. Which is, of course, a good reason also to not be battling anyone too hard. In 11th at the moment, it is Limitless. Then in 12th, it is Venom Snake. Fair Dinkum in 13th. Chaos down in 14th place at the moment. And back up with the leaders. Here it is, Olegna. Looking strong. Interpol, who has pitted. I think it's Paul really struggling. If anyone, should it be GTR and Speed Pro? Speed Pro looking okay on the tires, seemingly having done a pretty good job of keeping them alive. We are on board with the Wizard in 2nd. That's the inside version of the WAN cam. Let's hop up to something where we can actually see what's going on. He's at this point well inside the slipstream of Olegna. And that is a Honda in front. Fuel saving. Look how early Wizard brakes here as well. Isn't really intent on making any kind of move on his teammate here. And those 911s are also a little bit... Are they even close to... No, actually not. This one has a little bit of similarity to some of the Volex cars. Oh! Well, at least it's not as bad as Australia and New Zealand. That's one to catch you out and confuse you much more than the Danes. The Norwegians have the blue thing in the middle, and we just have the white one. That's somewhat possible. So anyway, look how it's bunching up here. Cooper's made up a lot of time. Oh, getting very sideways. And we'll have another look instantly at what happened here on board with the Turismo Cooper. Oh, getting slidey, very well kept on exit. And welcome, Rory. Nice to have you along. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are enjoying whatever life's throwing at you. Nice. I have to say, nice work keeping the car alive in your Bathurst race yesterday. Several cases of attempted murder. An evening to Fubuki as well. Evening to Bellin. Don't smash anything tonight, please. Olegna now by 1 point. So, oh, what's happened? Oh, whoa. Is it just the pit stop from Wizard? Oh, it is just the pit stop. Just saw the Wizard disappearing from the top of the standings. All of a sudden, I was a little afraid that something bad had happened, but of course, he's been using his magical powers to stay afloat. Now he's using them to shield off Jeff James in 8th. So it is indeed looking like a 3-stopper for Wizard. We'll have to see how that plays out in the end. Still hasn't fueled, so only need a little bit of fueling on that final stop. But I'll go for everyone, so it's just all about track, pace, pure keeping up the pace, and yeah. I have to think. I think I have to go with what Stevie and Shuss said earlier on about the 2-stopper probably being the best strategy, the one to go with here. But we'll have to see. Matthew is up into 3rd, following the pit stop of Wizard. Sparks, of course, up into 4th. But look at this. Halstad has halved the gap up to Sparks in front, and mind you, Sparks and Halstad battling for that championship lead, and it is in favor of Halstad still. If they would just finish as they are at the moment, it would still favor Halstad. Sparks would need to finish in a very good position, 7 points down, and although there's a lot of points up for grabs, well, the jumps between positions really aren't that big, and certainly Halstad would need to fall down the running order in order to cock it up. So he's in control at the moment. At least I think he's feeling in control. He should be. Olegna, perfect line through the final corner. And that's one of those single corners where the exit is so important. You can really make or break your lap with this seemingly endless start-finish straight. Olegna very consistent in the low 31s. And thanks, Rory. I can say that I've upped my internet connection as well. I'm now running fiber, opposed to the wired McDonald's connection speed I was having before. I think I was reaching 12 megabits of download speed. More importantly, I was streaming with an upload speed of 1.5 megabits. So that was really no surprise that it was a little pixely. Before, to say the least. It should at least be a lot better by now. So Cooper closing the gap, it seems, up to Olegna. I think, though, Olegna will be winning on that last pit stop when they have the fuel. Seems like he's been fuel saving all the way through. Matthew, a steady 3rd on track still. The unknown, the unbeknownst factor in all of this is where is Wizard gonna end up on the 3-stopper? Sparks Still fourth, still losing time to Halbstag, who's now on a visual with him. We've seen Limitless move up through the field, up into 8th place. And the gap, indeed, between Sparks and Halbstag, it is diminishing. At the moment, it's 1.8 seconds. And when last we have a look, it was 2.5. A 32.5 for Sparks on that last lap. So Halbstag, I think, losing out ever so slightly here. 32.1 on that final lap. So gaining. The Ford GT that looks like it actually has a manual stick shift. An evening to you, Swablo. Nice of you to join in. I hope you're having a good one. So if this were to work really for Wizard, that gap up to Halbstag at the moment should really be diminishing quicker than it is. It's stat quo at the moment, and that's not really optimal. Of course, it's just under 5 minutes now until we've had the pit window. Hashtag real burp. We have the pit window opening for the 2 stoppers. So a bit of interest thrown into that one as well. Just to fend off the barking dog, because yeah, my dog, she likes to bark when the phone rings. So I'll just try to shut up the phone before we have the guard dog on duty. Here, Limitless in on what's effectively very low fuel. I might have been slightly wrong on the non-fueling going on before, but we'll have to see about that. And indeed it is in 11th place at the moment, 12th it is now. Question is, Venom Snake sort of behind there, so I think it's fair dinkum. And it's gonna be pretty much side by side. I think Dinkum is gonna go through. Yes. Olegna has reached a point, it seems yet again, of throwing down the hammer and extending the gap. And as I say that, starts saving fuel and starts throwing away time on the start-finish straight. But it looks like Olegna is very much in control at the moment. Cooper in a solid second. Matthew third. Sparks in fourth. Halbstag now in fifth. And then, of course, it is the Wizard of Ari's team in 6th place. No, the Norwegian Interpol is winning the Scandinavian 911 battle at the moment. He's 7th in front of Jeff James, and then from the Jeff team as well, it's Speed Pro in 9th place, carrying a 1.9 second penalty. And with that said, 22 minutes of racing remains. And still looking like Halbstag being the one in control. Although the pace advantage seems to have shifted somewhat the other way, as Sparks, over the last couple of laps, has been pushing the advantage back up to over 2 seconds now. That could very well just have been a small mistake by Halbstag. We can also see Halbstag having picked up a little more penalty time for himself there. Won't be optimal as well, but Halbstag, he does need to fall down into, or what was it, 8th place or lower, if Sparks finishes in 4th, in order to not win the championship, so to say. Back up with Olegna. As Halbstag here is pitting in, and that's a little bit early. And of course, very low on fuel here, so doesn't look like there's much of a choice for the German in the end. And I was about to say Benetton liveried Ford, and it just struck me that it's a Benetton Ford, and that it made sense all of a sudden. Here he is exiting. Oh, it's not Irius, but here is Halbstag exiting the pits. Good pun, huh? What's it gonna be for him? Is it gonna be down in is it 9th? Right on the tail of Speed Pro. That's not optimal at all, because Speed Pro is one-stopping. Really shows the difference in strategies on display, with everything from one-stoppers to three-stoppers being deployed by the drivers. So Halbstag back out in 9th place. And as mentioned before, oh, misses the apex there. I've mentioned the Olegna and the fuel, and here the situation becomes very clear and evident all of a sudden. The top 3 is all pitting in, and while Cooper and Matthew are all with 8% of their fuel left, Olegna's with 22, Sparks is in with 5% of fuel left, and that means Wizard is probably gonna be leading the race, although just 4 minutes before a scheduled pit stop. And indeed, low fuel for Wizard does confirm the strategy at this point in the race. Olegna rejoins in 2nd, Cooper rejoins in 3rd, then it's James in the Corvette, who's 4th at the moment. Seems to be on pretty tired rubber. Indeed, Stevie, it's not the first time we've seen it, is it? You can't put Olegna with regular people, or just slightly, if they have an inch of regularity about them, you can't put Olegna in there. He needs to be kept confined only with the other aliens. They could go and have their times in the IGTL and make it all look easy, and make everybody else look like complete plebs. Ooh, Matthew here, a little bit of a jam with James, and he sends it up the inside in the final corner and gets it done quickly as well. Let's have the onboard view of how that looked from the perspective of the M6 of Matthew. Oh, that's nice. Something I hadn't really thought about. Here's James into the pits this time around. That's gonna let Sparks through. It's gonna let Halbstag through as well. It's now Wizard leading, Olegna, Cooper, Matthews, Sparks, Halbstag, Speed Pro, and let's see if it's gonna be Limitless. I think it is. Interpol down in 9th place following the last pit stop round. Limitless went pretty early on that one. In a pretty good position to undercut, for now at least. As James exits, it's pretty close. I think just about carrying enough speed to make it down to turn 4. And that is indeed just about what happened. We're on board with the Turismo Cooper and the Gazoo Racing Supra. For Buki, I wouldn't be surprised to see Olegna hammer on for the fastest lap here in the final part of the race. Just over 15 minutes left. Just over a quarter of the race distance still to do. We're into the final stint. We're into the closing, the pointy, the business end of things. Call it what you will. The exciting end of things it is as well. It's all in, it's in the long. Matthew, 3.8 seconds down on Cooper in front, 12 seconds down on Wizard, who's still leading the bunch, but I think also on the way to that final pit stop. Very certainly is just that situation. And what's that gonna take? Something like 16 seconds, I guess? No, it's gonna be fuel and tires for the Wizard here for this final stop. We're gonna be keeping an eye on where Wizard's gonna be able to rejoin. Of course, we might see a considerable advantage for Wizard in the final 10 minutes of this race as this final stint wears on. This advantage for being later on this final stop and having the fresh tires could of course turn out to go deeper and deeper into the race. Here it is, Wizard entering the pits, 14 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Let's see where it's gonna be rejoining for him. Pretty quick stop. Where's it gonna be? Taxstetter. As they have the race dog. She's on duty. Wizard rejoins in 6th place, right on the tail of Halbstag. That's certainly not too shabby at all. Could be a lot worse. The gap, though, now between Cooper and Olegnes up to 7 seconds. Olegnes really. Here comes the dog to join me up in the booth, cozy. But anyways, Olegna yet again has put down the hammer. He's grabbed the fastest lap. In the process of it, he's extended that advantage to well past what Cooper can see in front of him. Oh, as Cooper goes wide. Misses it, the apex, into the final corner. There goes deep. Oh, that's gonna be costly on time, I'm afraid. Matthew in 3rd with a comfortable air both in front and behind. The 2 championship contenders are running 4th and 5th, and as we've touched upon before, that is not going to be enough for Sparks to grab that championship lead here in the final round of the series. So if it finishes as it stands, it's going to be championship going to Halbstag. Wizard is going to be looking to close the gap in front. It's only 2.3 seconds. And mind you, it's going to be more and more advantageous for Wizard the closer we get to that checkered flag. The one-stopping Porsche of Speed Pro is running 7th place at the moment in front of the Corvette of teammate James. Both of them, of course, of the Jeff team. In 9th place at the moment is the M6 of Limitless. Interpol in 10th. We've got the GTR of GTR in 11th. We've got also of the CRN team Fair Dinkum in 12th. Venom Snake in 13th. We've got the Chaos Racing of the Jet team in 14th place at the moment. At the front of affairs, though, is Olegna looking absolutely solid. Just looked for a second because of the coloring. Of course, I'm realizing that it's Chaos Racing's car, but I just for a short minute thought that he was lapping Wizard. Couldn't make that that to make sense up in my head. Of course, there wasn't any sense in it. Still status quo with that 7.5 second gap now between Olegna and Cooper. Seems like Olegna's content with the 1:30 dead, which is also a good lap, to say the least. It's a very good lap. And at the same time, Cooper is also extending the advantage down to Matthew in third. So really consolidating that second place at the moment. Now this is an interesting place to be, I think, because the battle in front, or the gap in front of Halbstag is diminishing. At the same time, the gap behind Halbstag is diminishing as well. That means we might see a three-way battle up here for fourth place. Here are the last 10 minutes of the race. As we have three drivers on two different strategies. The two-stop and the three-stop strategy coming into play. Not too far in front of Speed Pro, although the one-stop does also look like it's been a little bit of a stretch to try here today. Seems like it's been too much pace lost on pure speed, or the tire wear has just been a little too much. Speed Pro losing time to James in behind. We're gonna go back and look at Halbstag. It's a 1.5 in front and behind. And Stevie, I think we're gonna be seeing some serious spells cast, some serious waving of the wands from the wizard. What is the spell, the Harry Potter spell for making stuff levitate? I don't remember. Perhaps he'll use the Patronus to defend from behind. I don't know. Well, surely you would rather have Gandalf as a defensive wizard. And surely no one shall pass. So it's still seeming like it's closing right up between Sparks, Halbstag, and Wizard in places, positions 4, 5, and 6. And it really is bunching up here. Wizard now getting within the slipstream of Halbstag in front. The unconfirmed slipstream distance, we're gonna have a look. I think that's actually true what you mentioned before, Stevie, concerning slipstreaming and all the distance here. Oh, as Halbstag gets a bad run through turn 4 and loses out on several tenths through that corner alone. And of course the following straight here is going to be bleeding even more time. I think it is very apparent there is a definite tire advantage, a definite grip advantage for Wizard. Yet again, Halbstag misses the apex. You're on the entrance to that tight middle sector, the technical part of the track, and where it really shines through. Although the high-speed corners, these GT3 machines, although they do have aero, they're also quite dependent of their mechanical grip in the high-speed parts of the track. Times the downshifts well, brakes early, but comes very early on the gas here. Wizard. And here we are, caught with Sparks. Okay, so I can, I don't understand the logic of these new camera controls. I'll be sure to be looking at it a little bit. It's Wankan time as we're on board with Sparks. Oh, and that's Halbstag losing out big time through that chicane. Oh, sorry about that. Certainly unintended. And Halbstag breaks off in order to... Oh yeah, that's an absolute track cut there. Breaks off to serve that penalty instantly. Still 1.9 seconds left of it. So that's already a single position gain there for Wizard. It's looking pretty good for him to challenge Sparks as well. Sparks was really suffering in the other AMG. So a battle of the Mercs now developing for 4th place. Is Sparks gonna be the thing coming out of the wand of the Wizard? How many reference can I pull out of my sleeve or of my hat, so to say? Go on, boss. Go on. Go on, Stevie. Right. Go on, Ibby. You'll be a young but a big man. Oh, and here Wizard getting really close to the rear end of Sparks this time around. Halbstag hanging on for a piece of the pie should the opportunity arise. What's up, Maverick? It's nice to have you along. Well, the crystal ball tells me a lot of things. We're on board with the Wizard, really trying to put the pressure onto the rear end of Sparks. 4.5 minutes remaining of this race, and that'll translate to 3 laps of racing, I think. Oh, Sparks defends well, but it's so close. And I call that it's going to be difficult for the TX3 driver to actually keep Wizard behind on the run into turn 1. Although it has to be said, I think Wizard got a little bit of a poor exit. And it's going to blow his chances. Needs to stay into the slipstream here. It's too early to break off, I think. It mightn't be. Let's have a look. Side by side they go into turn 1. It is advantage Wizard. You can brake a little later, carry that speed into turn 1, take that position from Sparks. Up into 4th place he goes. And we're gonna have another look at it. Just to have a show here. A little bit of a pace difference, but it's not a lot. But able to outbrake Sparks comfortably in the end. Also down to the grip advantage. Wizard into 4th place. Well done. Nice one indeed. It's been a good race for Wizard, considering that it's been a little bit of an alternative strategy, you can say, with the 3-stopper, but it's been anything but disastrous in the end. Not too far off the podium, although by now it seems 3 minutes remaining. The podium does look settled for now. It's Olegna leading Cooper. It's CSX Matthew in 4th. As we just mentioned, it is Wizard of the Aries Racing Team. TX3 Bottle Sparks in 5th. Halbstag in 6th place, right on the bumper now of Sparks. Oh, that getting slidey there on the exit of the final corner. And loses out on that vital drive down towards the line. Speed Pro still in 7th. Oh, as Halbstag almost, I think, incidentally throws it into the pits. What's that? That's going to be a late stop. That's going to be a very late stop for Sparks, who's under-fueled critically indeed. 2 minutes remaining, and Sparks is in for more fuel. That's a splash and dash. That's going to cost him whatever chances there still was of a championship. And that's gonna gift 5th place to Halbstag. That's gonna gift 6th place to Speed Pro, and so on down the field. F for fuel, indeed. Oh my. What have you done, Sparks? It wasn't at least like it was a championship winning position for him, but nevertheless, he must be fuming inside that AMG now, knowing that it could at least have been a good result on the day. A miscalculation in fuel. Bottles out. And Stevie, there wouldn't be any effect. Would it have been Sparks in 5th and Halbstag 6th? The 2 points between those two positions, of course, wouldn't have been enough to tip the scales into this favor of Sparks. So he would have needed to finish. Halbstag should have finished 9th, I think, if Sparks would have been 5th. So in the end, it would have been comfortable nonetheless. Here is Olegna with 35 seconds remaining. I think this is going to be the final lap. And I'm actually... oh, no worries, Stevie. I don't think this is going to be the final lap. I know this is going to be the final lap for a fact, as Olegna's now on his way through the final sector. From there on, final corner of this race. 9 seconds remaining for the Dutchman, for the iRacing team. It's been an absolute brute of a performance, and he has smashed the field to bits and pieces today. He's been in full control all the way through, and that win is well deserved indeed. Turismo Cooper put up the fight, did everything possible, and is finishing 13 seconds down in the end after a very strong race as well for the Turismo boys. In 3rd place for the final podium slot, it's going to be CSX Matthew in the BMW M6. And then in 4th place, coming home for the line there, it's ERT Wizard on the 3-stopper. It's actually been a very strong race as well. And then there it is. A congratulations to Halbstag, who comes home for 5th place to take the championship win here. James beats Speed Pro on the line. I think Speed Pro slowed down for a penalty there. So the Corvette of JV James in 6th place. Speed Pro JV or Jev in 7th. Then Battle Sparks ending up in 8th place in front of Interpol. In 10th, it's gonna be Limitless, coming home more or less right in front of GTR of the CRN team. There it is, the line for Limitless, the limit, if you will. And there is your results for the race. Congratulations to Olegna Cooper and Matthew. And of course, also a big congratulations going out to our Series Championship here of the CRN Endurance Championship, with, of course, German Halbstag. And with that said, of course, thank you so much for tuning in here tonight on Half the Race Gone. My name is DirtenDK, and it's been my utmost of pleasures taking you through the action, guiding you through it here on this Thursday night. And we'll be right back in it, in the thick of it, this Sunday, as mentioned earlier, with the IGTL Summer Championship Series. Round 1 of 4 kicking off this Sunday, plus as well the Nuke Shot Endurance Series round 1 as well. So a bit of a doubleheader this Sunday coming into it. I think it's gonna be a grand one. Thanks for tuning in tonight. It's been wonderful having you along. If you've liked what you've seen here on the channel tonight, do throw us a like on the video. And if you feel like it, feel free to subscribe as well. And I guess with that said, well, all that remains for me to say is thanks for tonight. You've been great. And until next time, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.